Hi, Giselle Grenier here from artplace.ca. In today's video lesson, we're going to be making some in miniature art, and we're going to be using, it's going to be more of an abstract theme, and I was inspired by some Kandinsky pieces of artwork, and although I'm not copying the style, I'm using it as an inspiration to create some miniature art. So let's go onto the table and see what I've got prepared. So I just want to show you what I have on the table here, and I'm going to give you a bit of a story. I'm going to be creating a piece of art that's inspired by a Kandinsky, and it's for an artist trading card swap I'm going to be hosting, using this as my inspiration only because it's full of circles. Then when I found my inspiration, I kind of go to my big IKEA shelf behind me and I kind of look for pieces. So found wire, and I found my stencils. So I've got my Andy Skinner. This is a Whirlpool stencil from DecoArt, Radical Rays. And what really got me going was this paper. Now, just to give you a bit of an idea, so I'm getting some happy mail from you guys, and Cheryl sent me a whack load of stuff, a whole bunch of stuff to use. And thank you so much. It's going to take me forever to use all that stuff. So one of the pieces, I love this paper. Cheryl knows how much I love polka dots, circles, circle obsessed. Okay, I'm only obsessed with two things, circles and the numbers 369. So, gonna be using that. In addition, I've got my brushes. Now, I'm gonna be listing the supplies on my blog, what I end up using, but just to give you an idea. Aqualon brushes, these are just some basic Taklon brushes, my favorite, number 8 Bristle Bright. I've got some pouncers, these are from DecoArt. Application tools, texture tools. I like these because of the sizes and they're flexible. You can use a credit card too, but it's a bit stiff for me. I like the flexibility of this, especially when you're collaging, and I can actually bend this without tearing the paper. And let's see what else. And things are a bit awkward for me right now because Joe had to change up the framing setup for the way I record my videos. I was doing an online class. All the camera equipment had to change. We had to introduce 4 more cameras. So the actual bar that does the filming, that's gone. So I'm just kind of have a makeshift setup until he can put everything back. So bear with me while I fumble around. So I'm going to be using the DecoArt Media paint line. So I'm using the white gesso, matte medium, and then the paints, and you're going to say, where's all the colors that you've been using? Because I'm doing a blitz on using better quality paints, less colors, and do some color mixing. Okay? Phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, quinacridone magenta, naphtha red light, hansa yellow light, burnt sienna, titanium white. This is a very limited palette. Actually, that's a very limited palette. You don't even need that. You don't even need that. So you can, I've done classes with just using a certain blue, a certain red, certain yellow. You can get thousands of mixes. So I'm going to introduce these because it's a little bit easier. But if you want to use whatever colors you want, just look at any Kandinsky and you can pick out the colors that you want out of there. So put those aside. I'm going to put this aside. I also have my nice anti-chaos water bucket. So let's see. I cut this stuff out of a Cliff Bar, the packaging for Cliff Bars that Joe eats, and they're a energy bar, and I've got these cards here, and I prepped one side with gesso because and usually the back side I like to leave it because I can wrap the paper around it, but just to give you an idea, this is very slick, so you got to do something with it. You can try sanding a little bit, but just to show you, if I just take a little bit of gesso, and I'll do this card here, because I'm going to be doing another video with another Kandinsky inspired piece. One will be a giveaway and one will be for the swap. And this is all you have to do. Just put a layer of gesso down, and whatever you're using, make sure you read the label on how to use it, okay? Because there's drying times and stuff like that. So I just put it on like this. I like the brush stroke showing because it adds additional texture, and I will let this dry. Okay. So we'll just work with this one here. Let me just get a baby wipe. And I think I've yeah, so this is one of the things I have to get used to. The tripod's not, I don't like using a tripod. I want my frame, my overhead frame back. I was using, during the classes, I was using a lot of Clorox wipes. My hands got so dry. And I think I've told you guys this before, that if you're going to use Clorox wipes or Lysol wipes, just to either put a lotion on your hands, because my hands got so dry and they're still not healed yet. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, so prep with gesso. Let's just do some simple collaging. And this paper is so pretty. I'm not wasting it, but I like the wrinkles. So I figured I'm just going to do that. See, that's why I do want to cover that side, because I like that wrinkled stuff. So I'm going to do that, wrinkle that up. Thank you, Cheryl, so much for sending this. I also got stuff from Annie, and I got stuff from Patricia. I got some stuff from, Evangeline. Is that, I can't remember how to pronounce her name. Evangeline, I think. I'm so sorry. I don't remember how to pronounce your name. She sent me some pretty stuff as well. You guys are awesome. Okay, so see how that adds some nice stuff in there. So we're just going to get that medium. And there's a simple little, not really like a checklist, but just a little thing I have where it's so easy to create art. I've been doing a lot of focusing on getting people inspired to create art, because people think, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, that's bull crap. The not good enough is coming from inside your head, and you know, it takes some time just to kind of push past that. And I'm going to lay that right here. Keep the wrinkles. Okay. If you've got time, push the wrinkles down, put some more matte medium on there, let it dry, then flip it over. But this is supposed to be quick. And it just takes a little bit of, you know, getting yourself out there, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. And these little cards that I'm doing, even though they're artist trading cards and there's a specific purpose for them, you can do them any size you want, and you can keep them for yourselves. You don't have to do an artist trading card. I like to prefer calling these miniature art pieces, because they are pieces of art. I got close there. Okay, so see, I screwed up. I didn't overlap it enough. Just enough. So which means when I cut this down, I'm going to have to put a little bit more collage medium on there, just to make sure that the pages are stuck together. Or I could just fold everything over. Does it matter? You know what? Not really. What side do I want to keep? I'm liking that side, but it kind of takes away from the circles of the Kandinsky thing I'm doing. So you know what? Let's just stick. Let's go with no waste. Let's go with no waste. And so I'm using my finger to push this down. You don't need any special tools. So the one thing I do recommend, as soon as you put your fingers on any of the Deco Art mediums, they are super strong, just to wash your hands. Otherwise, you're going to be pulling off layers of medium, because this is like a glue. Although it is a medium, it's also a glue. I don't know if you remember being in school. I'm going to fold these corners, where you were using that white school glue and you didn't wash your hands, and you could peel. We created skins. Art skins. We put glue in our hands, peeled it off, and we use that in art. Just pushing that. So there we go. So this is ready. I can paint this white, and then I can, you know, write my name on it, or just glue a label. No big deal. And I'm loving the wrinkles that I have on here. I'm just going to take a little bit more of this, and I'm just going to apply that, because I want to keep those wrinkles. So what this matte medium is going to do, you can even use a decoupage medium. It's going to harden up, and those wrinkles are going to really stay. What you don't want, because of the wrinkles, you don't want the paper to tear after the fact. Okay, so then what you can do from this is just let it dry. You can also use a heat gun But because anytime I use like the matte medium in that, I try to avoid using a heat gun. I want to let it dry naturally. But you can use the heat gun if you want. So I'm going to put that in water. And the heat gun. So what you want to do when drying this is you want to keep it about a foot away from the piece. And then as you're drying it, I like to keep my hands in front. And if my hand can take the heat, I'm close enough. But if my hand feels like it's going to be burned, I have to pull the heat gun away. And that's how I judge how close I am. So just to show you. Okay, so I'll start this right about here. Now I'm going to move up. I've been doing this for so long, I know exactly how close I can get. And always keep the heat gun moving. If you get too close, you will bubble. You'll bubble everything on the card, especially when you've got paint on there. You'll create bubbles, and if it's gesso, it'll blister. Now, there are some times when that's really pretty. It's a nice effect. Yet now, this is getting really tacky, so it's starting to dry. One of the reasons why I want this to dry naturally, because there's matte medium underneath, that what's underneath isn't going to dry as fast as to what's on top. Okay, so that's why I want to let it dry naturally and go from there. All right, so I'm just going to let this sit for a little bit. I'm just going to clean my brush, put this away, and then we'll move on to the next step, which is applying a tint of color. I put out some titanium white, burnt sienna, and Hansa yellow light. Now, if you don't have Hansa yellow light, you can use basically any type of yellow, as long as it's kind of a bright yellow. This is a yellow that leans a bit more towards the green. And I've got my number 8 round. Let me get a paper towel. I'm going to create an off-white. Yes, you can use Titan Buff if you want. And I'm just going to take some white, add a little bit of the yellow, and add a speck of burnt sienna. And my brush was very wet. So I just want this to be a bit of an off color. And because with the water in there, it's going to be transparent. And I didn't use so much water that it weakened the strength of the paint film. Otherwise, I could have just used medium. You don't want to add more than 25% water. Well, it depends on the brand you're using. See how pretty that is? You can even take the excess and put some on the side. I'm not going to bother on the back because I'm probably going to just put a label on there. Okay, just like that. Easy peasy, huh? All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, whoopsie, should tape that down. I'm going to dry this, and you're going to see. So you see how light it is now, right? I'm going to dry it. When you dry acrylics, it gets darker. So keep that in mind if you're deciding to darken your mix before it has had time to dry. All right, so that's dried. It's gotten a little bit darker. Now I'm going to stencil the starburst, and I'm thinking about putting it right about there, something like that. Something like that. And I'm going to be using teal and orange. I guess it would have helped if I would have put some red on here. Now the type of red you use, the type of yellow you use, and the type of blue you use will all vary depending on what colors are going to create. So different types of reds with different types of yellows, we're going to create different types of oranges. Same thing with different types of blues and different types of yellows will create different types of greens. And I've got some blog posts with all that and some free color chart templates and all that if you want to check that out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reach. So I'm going to grab my palette knife. Had to go around chaos there. And I'm just going to make a teal. So I'm going to take this yellow and this, I'm using the phthalo blue, and boy, I'm really off my game today. Some phthalo blue and some yellow. I'm going to take a little bit of ultramarine blue. Oh, that's really pretty. Now on my table, this looks more teal, but it's on the camera it looks really green. And I'm spreading it out. Gonna tap a little bit of naphtha red light in there just to neutralize it a little bit. Bit more phthalo blue. There we go. Oh God, that's gorgeous. Loving that, loving that. And so I spread it out because I'm going to use my little pouncer. And I'm just going to dabby, dabby, dabby. And the reason why I'm using the pouncer, oh, I wanted one of these to be orange. I'm using the pouncer because I can get different effects depending on the pressure that I'm using. And I shouldn't have put that one there. Oh well. So let's just take that one out because now I want to work with orange. So I'll just wipe this down. I made a mistake. Who cares? What's the worst that can happen? It's just art. We're just having fun. Okay. I'm not going to get rid of that. I'm going to keep that. Hopefully it will last long enough. I'm going to take some yellow. I'm going to take some red. Mix that up. You can use an orange if you want. Well, the orange is behind me and I'm all wired up, so I don't want to go over there and get it. I don't want to go over there and get it. Let me just add a bit more yellow to that. I want my setup back. I'm going to have to get Joe to do. I can't film like this. It's just driving me crazy. Working with a tripod, everything's backwards. I want my stuff back. Boy, you get really spoiled when you have a nice setup. All right, so now I'm going to use this side here, and I'll put the stencil back on. I think it was like this. Let's see, right about there. Yeah, see, I'm out of room already. I want to get a really nice shape here. Let's see what happens if we do this. You'll have to be careful here. Now the blue mixing with the orange is going to make kind of a funny color. I want to be able to still see the dots. Aha! There we go. I'm going to put that in water. I'm going to put that in water. And just going to wipe that stencil. If you don't have animals, have a little Tupperware container handy with water where you can put your stencils inside it while you continue on working. So this is already dried, so I'm just going to quickly dry the orange one. All right, so what I did is I put out some paints, and I've got white with naphtha red, quinacridone magenta with some titanium white, naphtha red, quinacridone magenta, titanium white, ultramarine blue, titanium white, phthalo blue, and some yellow. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to pre-mix some of these colors. And I like that marbling look. Start off with this one, and then I'm going to just vary this one a bit. Not mix the whole thing. Then come in here, and I'll just vary this one. Okay. And then I'll do the same thing here. I'll just vary this one. When I say vary, that when I start putting on some colors in that, I'll be able to pick dark, light, some of those things. And the first thing I want to do is I want to stencil some of these circles. So I'm going to go over, let me think. I'm going to get another pouncer. Put the other one in water. Shoot. Sorry about that. Okay, let's see if I can use this. I don't have very many with the little piece. So with this one here, I'm going to use, because it's over the blue, I'm going to go over with the red. And these stencils are really thick. So you don't want the paint to be too fluid. You don't want it to be too perfect. Okay, just something random like that. And if you have a journal, wipe the paint off in a journal because the paint transfers through and it looks really nice. So there's no waste. So I'll put another one here, and I can take what's left in there, pounce it on a paper towel, then come here. And I'm going to go into a little bit of the dark. Whoops, I got a little bit on there. Whoopsie. Ah, doesn't matter. Looks just right. I'm gonna get it. The unfortunate thing is I would have to stop the camera so many times if I wanted to clean these. That's one thing I don't like is cleaning stencils. Oh, I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it. Okay, I'm gonna have to dry this. So I'm gonna be using a little stencil brush because it's just with the sponges, it's just too thick. So then I'm gonna go here and I'm going to work with the blue. That's better. I wanted the really washy look. And the paints that I put out there, they're new bottles of the fluid acrylics. By the time I finish the bottle, the paint's dried out a bit because I leave the caps open. It's like it's me. Not the paint, it's me. And with the new bottles, it's very, very fluid. There we go. Okay. Actually, I can use the same one. This went all whooshy because I had this in water. Whooshy? Whooshy? Is that even a word? Let me just quickly dry that. And let's just go on. I don't want to lose that. You know what? I think... No, that's it for that. I'm going to leave that. And I want to... You can use a pencil. I've got all these little... Oh, of course they're at the bottom. No. I'm looking for this. Where's my little ones? Oh, yes, I should have had this ready. I'm sorry. You can use Q-tips, which would also work. So it's a little dauber with a piece of sponge. And then, so we use that, tip of a brush. Can't use that brush. Anything that's round. I'm going to take that teal. And I'm just going to put circles. And that takes care of that one. Now I'm going to put a little bit of burnt sienna with that blue. Burnt sienna and blue together. More burnt sienna. Makes more of a ultramarine blue. A paint, burnt umber. And then if you use more blue, it makes the paint gray. Oh, chaos is here. You know what that means. She's going to try to jump on the table. I want something dark. And I'm not pulling out the full palette because she's unpredictable right now. I have a nice dark there. And now I can take the tip of this brush. All about circles. Going to the teal. I'm going to the magenta. Going to the naphthol red. She's going to knock my tripod over. Oh, and of course we can't forget white. So let me get, oh, now I have to try to find a brush that's got a round tip on it. There we go. With some white. Okay. Okay. Water, water. Alrighty. So I'm going to clean this up before she jumps on the table. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to do something really, really interesting. I'm going to, oh man, she's going to jump. I'm going to use the wire and put some wire on the card in the shape of a circle. What I'm not sure is how the heck am I going to glue that down? We'll have to see. Okay. Drying time. Okay, so I had to do a little bit of prep work on this because it does take a little bit of time. I took some of this wire and I cut it into small pieces, and what I did is um, I took brushes and I wrapped the wire. Wrapped the wire around, and then I took, you know, a paper clip, and I wrapped the wire around, and then I did some turns and created some really interesting shapes, trying to keep everything. Oh, that's really nice. Trying to keep everything flat, but always with some type of circle. And so just get it right, and then having to kind of fiddle with it so it stays flat. So I came up with this, but I'm liking that too. Let me put that there. Kind of like that too. And with this is, I mean, any shape you want. Then I have a bunch of these unstick mats, and this is just a leftover from a different brand, and I just cut up into pieces. Once I put the liquid glass down, then I'll put this on top. Then I'll put something heavy, because that'll then hold these things flat. Now liquid glass dries completely transparent, and I'm opening it up this way. I'm going to turn it because I just want to pour it, because I'm almost out. And these bottles are so stiff, they hurt my hands. So let's see if I can do this so you can see. There we go. Because I want it quite thick, because it'll level out like that. It'll dry crystal clear. Actually, I'm probably not going to have to press it. I'm not going to have to press it. This one I'm going to have to press. Shoot. I didn't want to. Let's see. Actually, that's okay. That'll be all right. And the way that I did the design, it's going to dry like that, which is really, really cool. And I can take a little bit from here, and I can put just a little bit there, just to hold that piece down. And I can take a little bit there. This piece is not being cooperative. You know what that's telling me? That I shouldn't have put it on there. That's what it's telling me. You shouldn't have. Oh, how about if I put it right side up? There we go. And like I said, use as many as you want, as few as you want. And this is going to take, I would say, probably about a good day to dry, because I put it really super thick. But the look of it is unreal. All right, so I'm going to let this dry. And so let's see if I can turn this without it falling over. So you got some thick piece, so it's a dimensional piece. All right, so when we come back, I'll let this dry. I'm going to go work on another piece, and then we'll see what it looks like dried. I have to admit, though, I did have to fuss with these wires. The whole thing isn't down, which leaves it a little bit dimensional there. So my concern was, well, what if it falls apart? So I did, during the process, while it was drying, push down a little bit while it was tacking, helped it stay down. I didn't bother putting the piece flat down, because that just wouldn't work. So in the next project, in the upcoming video, I'm going to try this with string. So the one thing that's left to do is I want to put my lines, and I'm thinking I probably should have put my lines before the liquid glass. Yeah, you know what, things happen. So I'm using ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, again the fluid acrylics, and I'm going to use my little palette knife, and I put down roughly 1 part of ultramarine blue and just less than 1 part of burnt sienna, and this is still too blue. Going to add, so let's say equal parts. It all depends on the transparency and the fluidity of your paint. If I was to use, let's say, a thicker ultramarine blue, that will hold more blue because of the fluidity of burnt sienna. There we go. Now we have more of a black. And if you want to see the true underlying color of something, little secret, add white. Just take a little piece on the side and pop a little bit of white in there. And you know, if you want to keep a record of everything, which I like to do, Do it with a brush though. And just make a swatch card. Oh, I like that. So it's a blue-black, which you could also classify as Payne's Gray. Well, I also had to move some stuff around because chaos was in one of her moods. So I'm just going to take the texture tool and I'm just going to put some lines. Let's go this way. I wonder if I can get something in there. Yep, that works. And I'm not looking for perfection. And why I mix it up with the palette knife like this, hopefully you can see it, is where when I'm picking it up, it's getting irregular lines. I don't want the perfection. I could even, if I wanted to, just remove a little bit of paint to get a broken line. It's just to create little shapes. Just something like that. And this will stick to the liquid glass. Here we go. Let's put one more here. Oh, I like that broken line there. That's it. Done. And all that's really left to do is this is ready to go as is. You know what's really neat about these things is that if you do this on corrugated cardboard, and if you do it on corrugated cardboard, so you know how the lines run one way, and then if you take another piece of corrugated cardboard where the lines go the other way and then just glue them together, that way they won't bend this way and they won't bend this way, okay? They'll be really flat. And you can make a nice little piece, and then you can do a little makeshift frame to hold it up, and you can have these tiny little pieces of art everywhere. They're so pretty. You can even glue them onto a piece of heavy cardstock as a greeting card. So with all this extra paint, I'm just going to finish the edge here. You don't have to do this. I like finishing my edges. But these little pieces of miniature art are so flexible. And you know what? They're quick to do. It doesn't devalue it because it's fast to do. Remember what I was saying early in the beginning is that I was going to have to put paint in to seal where the papers wrapped around, where they met, because I cut it a bit short. So this is also going to act as a sealant. And you can choose whatever color you want for the lines. Just want to use up the paint. Oh, there's like chaos here. Well, whoever gets this card is going to have some of Chaos's DNA. There it is. And I'm going to go around probably about 3 times, and as I go around, the paint will dry, building up the layer. And this edge, see how the edge are? I'm going to leave it like that. I think there's too much of an emphasis on perfection in the world. Do you know if the world was perfect in every way, life would be so boring. Where's the adventure? There we go. Look at that. Alrighty, guys. So that's finished. I really like that. I'm even contemplating now doing a canvas piece like this. I'm going to talk to Joe. There's some wire that I want to use for this. I have to talk to Joe now before I steal his workshop tools, because I found at some point I had all the tools. He was screaming at me, "Where are my pliers?" So I'm going to talk to him about, getting more of the round pieces where they can sit flat, and then I can take some thinner wire to create that 3D look. But let's see if I can try that on a canvas and see how that goes. So I really hope that you enjoyed this project and that you can get inspired and using some pieces around the house, like with the wire. Just, you don't have to use wire. You can use string or twine or something like that. and see what you can do with just creating some art using color and taking an inspiration from one of your favorite paintings. So I hope that you enjoyed this. So if you have any comments or questions, please comment below the video. Also give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything, because I've got lots of videos coming up. All right, so until I see you next time, stay inspired.